Hello friends, in this video we have news from Poland. We have exactly 4 of them. There are some interesting and important changes in residence permits. Meanwhile, while Polish officials are calming their nerves at our expense as taxpayers. Next, the prosecutor's office is looking for the president's daughter's haters but ignores real bullying in the country. There's also something interesting about a possible assassination attempt. Let's take a look at the flip side of European order. Please watch the video until the end, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Do it right now, it's absolutely free. Like to support aerodynamics? Friends, hit the bell so you don't miss new videos. Now let's get down to business. First, the great digital exodus. Poland is canceling paper decisions for residence permits. Let's start with the basics of government administration. Starting July 1, 2026, Poland is launching a large-scale, as they call it, tectonic stage of digitalization of government services, which in fact is gradually just eliminating paper document flow and transferring key administrative processes into electronic form. In other words, the physical world we're used to, with certificates and various forms, is finally surrendering completely to the virtual world. The most important thing here for Ukrainians who are trying to regularize their status under the local legal system is the complete rejection of paper decisions for residence cards. That is, those very decisions about whether you will get a residence card or not. By the way, write in the comments when and in which voivodeship you waited or are still waiting for your cherished card. It's just interesting to know what time frames to expect. I'll tell you that in the Silesian voivodeship in Katowice, they have just started reviewing cases from July of last year. So there's a 1-year delay, everything's normal. The main indicator, getting back to the topic, is a complete rejection of paperwork. No more paperwork. These are the official decisions of the voivodeship offices regarding legalization. They will no longer be duplicated by paper mail. So, we forget about regular mail, about the tedious wait for the mailman. The main tool of communication becomes the electronic system e-doręczenia. That's exactly where all legally significant notifications will be sent. So dear friends, here's a completely pragmatic piece of advice. If you haven't created an e-doręczenia mailbox yet, do it so you don't end up, let's say, among those who find out the news last. The e-doręczenia functionality is now also available directly in the EDI app. Electronic documents now have full legal force. You can use them absolutely everywhere. In banks, at the notary, when getting officially employed. In short, in all government institutions. The government is also expanding the list of documents available in the app, including diplomas, professional certificates, and new features for drivers. For drivers or for the drivers, write in the comments which is correct. Anyway, everything that DIA did a few years ago, well, the trends are reaching Poland too. As part of this same reform, Poland is also digitizing the issuance of work permits. This refers to the zezwolenie and the oświadczenie. Employers and employees will now work exclusively with electronic papers, let's call it that. Yes, with documents without any ink stamps. According to official government estimates, the new stage of digitalization should significantly reduce the time it takes to serve citizens and decrease the number of tedious visits to institutions. Why drive when you still have to go to work, and to ensure full integration of government services digitally? In theory, everything sounds great as always, but how this digital utopia will face the harsh reality of crashing servers and other not-so-efficient officials, well, time will tell. Next, friends, we have our second topic. Let's call it the tired official syndrome. Let's discuss mental health in the government at the European Union's expense. Since we're talking about officials, the Office for Combating Foreigners in Poland has given us, well, just a not-so-delightful story of political economy, pure political economy. The agency is launching the Health Matters in the Office for Foreigners project. I jokingly call it the Office for Combating Foreigners. This unprecedented act of generosity is aimed at supporting, what do you think, the mental health of employees and preventing their professional burnout. The total cost of the project will be almost 300,000 zlotys, to be exact. It's 297,860 zlotys. And half of this amount, 148,000, almost 149,000, let's not bother with the small change, will be kindly funded by Eurokolkhoz, I mean, of course, the European Union. As part of the project, educational programs, lectures, and various practical workshops are planned for employees tired of public service. The goal, of course, is a good one, to help officials cope with stress, difficult emotions, and psychological tension. I mean, how can you spend 8 hours at the workplace listening to the same accent? Tell me, please. Yes, of course, it's necessary, it's hard, it's difficult. Of course, in the comments to the news, ordinary people who are exhausted by months or even years of waiting for their residence permits just tore this initiative apart. Citizens believe that the funds should have simply been used to increase the staff because foreigners in Poland have been waiting for years for decisions on their residence permit cases. And of course, in the comments, the comedians have already started, right? I mean, they're burning out. They haven't even caught fire yet to burn out, and there's some truth to that. While migrants are storming the offices, breaking through the wall of bureaucracy, officials will be meditating at workshops at the expense of European taxpayers. Yes, friends, don't be surprised. A classic example of the state apparatus. Instead of addressing the bottlenecks in document processing, they need to calm the nerves of those who, for whatever reason, let's say, create these bottlenecks. That's how it is. That's the news, friends, about residence permit cards. Moving on. Next, let's say, we move to the presidential palace. Let's talk about King Nawrocki. Yes, may his days be long. The best, the most wonderful president of Poland. There you go. I actually think these words should be engraved in gold. Well, there you go. We'll title this topic as International Manhunt Over Hate, the case of 7-year-old Kasia Nawrocka and double standards. Let's move to the Mokotów District Prosecutor's Office in Warsaw, where a truly phantasmagoric investigation is unfolding. Investigators are fabricating criminal cases over, you know what, offensive publications directed at the 7-year-old daughter of the President of Poland, King Nawrocki, so his daughter is Kasia. Well, the scale is impressive, in my opinion, friends. Prosecutors are analyzing 30,000 comments that have been posted on various internet platforms. The reason was the enthusiastic dancing of the girl at her father's election night back in 2025. So a year has passed, she was sending heart gestures and blown kisses. Well, and I believe that there was harsh and of course completely unreasonable hate online, like any hate. To identify the authors of the post, the Polish prosecutor's office went so far as to send requests for international legal assistance to the US and China, demanding the data of the account owners on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The prosecutor's office states that the authors of the posts will face real criminal liability. I seem to recall that King Nawrocki, I think, blocked some bill about, like, let's impose some restrictions about what can and can't be said online, right? And he said, no, that's freedom of speech. As you can see, I might be mistaken or not understand something. Please comment and help me figure out if there's a contradiction. But I fully support our king, may his days be long, right? And of course, any reasonable person, as the taxi driver I ride with said, has a question. The users cancelled it. They ask and say things, but 7-year-old kids shouldn't be in political interviews. That's just how it is online. And if you brought a child on stage for publicity, well, be ready for the specific laws of the online crowd. But the most important thing here is the selectivity of the state apparatus. Why should government agencies spend enormous resources, man-hours, and involve Interpol, the US, and China just to look for those who bully? Yes, it's a child. Yes, it's the president's child, but what's the difference? How many kids face online bullying? Are we supposed to find each one now? The taxi driver asks. I don't. And it's instructive to observe this scene. While the whole royal court hunts online offenders of the president's daughter, real cruel bullying of Ukrainian children in Polish schools and immigrants on the streets is ignored by the prosecutor's office. Oh God, as if they've invented a real problem. Ukrainians are being bullied. No one sends requests to Silicon Valley when ordinary Ukrainian school children face xenophobia and bullying, or when adults encounter open chauvinism in everyday life or at work. That's how it is. I got a cab driver like that, a real grump. Instead of admiring all this, something about it just doesn't sit right with him. He thinks it would be better to do something about real xenophobes, to focus on the mental health of their aggressive citizens rather than staging a public punishment to defend the honor of the first family. Well, that's just the nature of a class society. The safety of the elite is the priority, and the safety of some Ukrainians, that's your own personal business. What did you think otherwise? Next, there's more. We still have part 4, friends. The mysterious fainting of King Nawrocki. May his days be prolonged. For dessert, we offer a political detective story with tragicomic elements. According to the Polish press, there may be another attempt to assassinate Karol Nawrocki in Poland. The Świdnika prosecutor's office is investigating a possible attempt on the president's life or health. A year has passed and only now they're starting to investigate, right? It's like with bullying. Interesting. What were they waiting for all year? Investigators are thoroughly analyzing the incident that occurred during his election campaign in May of 25, when the politician suddenly lost consciousness after personal meetings with voters. All of this happened in Lower Silesia, Ząbkowice Śląskie, somewhere around there. Navrodsky somewhat pathetically said he lost consciousness in a service vehicle and can't recall the events. Eyewitnesses also noted he felt unwell, possibly due to poisoning. Law enforcement agencies seized on this story and are investigating the possibility of intentional administration of substances dangerous to health. Look, I wish everyone good health. Polish politicians, of course, first of all, Mr. Korol, may his days be long. But this cab driver I ride with, he is skeptical. He says that the theory about poisoning, secret agents, and military-grade poisons looks cinematic and is extremely beneficial for boosting the president's ratings. But let's come back down to earth. Many videos from that campaign circulated online showing Comrade Navrodsky in a populist gesture, kissing elderly women's hands left and right in the crowd. Well, so, what happens in real life? A politician kissed, say, 10 hands, gathered all sorts of flora and fauna from Lower Silesia on his lips, and then maybe, yes, it's possible, he didn't wash his hands before eating, didn't wash his face, and ate some kind of belyash or kebab. That could have happened. That's why the poisoning symptoms occur. No. Naturally, admitting the president got sick from unwashed hands and a belyash isn't respectable. Of course, it's better to say there was an attempt on his life and to spin it into a whole criminal case. Ah, friends, that's the kind of troublesome taxi driver I had. I don't agree with him at all. It's all just some fifth-column nonsense, Ukrainians making up fantasies. That's it. In summary, what conclusions can we make? Combining these markers, the picture is highly pragmatic. The state is serving its own interests. It is moving migrants to digital systems to spend fewer resources interacting with you, the common people, in person, and allocates hundreds of thousands for the mental health of its clerks. While the prosecutor's office searches the world for people who harassed the president's daughter, it ignores the systemic bullying of ordinary commoners. Well, and the political elite blows some incident out of proportion, turning it into an international conspiracy. The laws of the material world always prevail, and behind the facade of this order hides the good old class bias. Well, that's how it is, friends. Actually, of course, all of this is just a product of imagination. There were no such news stories in reality. You understand what I mean, right? So, friends, I wanted to say buonasera to you, but yeah, it's already evening. Thank you for your attention. Like, comment, and remember, TransferGoog is the top money transfer service. The link is in the description. Send money to your loved ones. Write the city where you're watching from. It's important. Dennis watched from Krakow, from the Colosseum. Where are you watching from? Maybe someone else. And by the way, I send greetings to everyone. To truck drivers, carpenters, milling machine operators, turners, eyebrow mechanics, to the entire working class, a big proletarian salute from us. That's all for now. See you next time.